Everybody, I hope you are having a great Thursday, or whenever you're watching this video. As I always say, you need to be watching out for this next system in this forecast for America. I'm going to be covering the next low pressure system. It's going to make its way across the northern tier, but the impacts will be felt further south with some severe weather coming out of the southern plains and into the mid-south. We'll see the Mississippi River Valley be impacted by this, and all the way on up into the mid-Atlantic and northeast, we'll be watching for some of that rainfall. This forecast video for your Thursday, June 8th, 2023 is intended for the forecast through the weekend and into next week. Now, I did want to start by pointing out the air quality, because we've had that horrendous haze into portions of the northeast especially, but we've seen some of it travel down into the southern tier as well as a result of Canadian wildfires. And for your Thursday, we're looking at the worst concentrations of that smoke remaining around the Great Lakes region for us here. We also have New York City being impacted, as well as the Washington, D.C. metro area for you there. Portions of Maryland, Delaware, some of those locations could also get in on that level 3 air quality, or level 4 if you include the good air quality for us here. And then as we go into your Friday, notice a lot of that air quality will get better for many, so more unhealthy for sensitive groups as you travel further south, and even towards Atlanta we'll see some of that air quality be unhealthy for sensitive groups. But unless you have asthma, you should be okay to get outside, especially on your Friday. Now your Thursday setup looks like this. Look at this stationary boundary that curls out of the Dakotas, goes all the way around and off the coast. You can see exactly the impacts of it. We have some of that rainfall right along the immediate east coast, curling through the south, and then back on up into the north of this boundary. And it's really been sparking off some isolated severe weather for the last few days. Nothing too crazy there. We've also got some flooding going on back into portions of the Mountain West, so we'll keep an eye on that for you there. For your Thursday, look at what the stationary boundary is doing on the warmer sector of it. It is pulling on up temperatures well into the 90s, even up in the Dakotas. We're getting some of those 90s, low 90s in the mid-south as well. Notice how we have more comfortable 70s to near 80 in many spots for here around the Great Lakes, 60s and 50s in the northeast, still with that backdoor cold front leaving its impacts there. Your Thursday temperature anomaly looks like this. Notice we have a lot of that heat in the Dakotas compared to average, but a lot of the temperatures that are near 90 in the mid-south, I mean, that's near normal for this time of the year, just a little bit above average for some communities, slightly below average for many communities in the north and east, as well as in the southwest. That pattern that has been lasting all week, still kind of trying to degrade for us here, even though it is your Thursday and onward. Now your severe weather outlook for your Thursday looks like this. A level 1 risk of severe from Montana over to the Dakotas. We also have southern Texas as well as portions of the Georgia and South Carolina coast getting in on this for your Thursday. Notice again, there's that stationary boundary. The storm's firing up in those zones along it. We'll keep an eye out for some marginally severe wind and hail. No tornadoes anticipated out of any of your Thursday activity. Now, as we make our way into our Friday, first thing I want you to notice, that stationary boundary is sinking further south for us here. You can see making its way down to the Gulf of Mexico, over the Atlantic waters in general for us here, but we're still feeling the rainfall impacts over the plains. When was the last time there was a 0% chance of rain in the plains? That was a long time ago, I feel like. Florida, Georgia coast getting in on some of the rainfall as well, and still flooding going on, especially in the Montana for us here. And then we have this new boundary sinking on down out of Canada. That system is going to be the one coming out of Montana, coming out of Canada. That system is going to be the one that really impacts our pattern as we go into the weekend and into early next week. Now you can see we've gotten mid and upper 90s in portions of Texas. We will crack 100 in some communities for you here, so be ready for that. El Paso, it's going to be very hot. So many communities, Del Rio, getting in on that heat. Temperatures off into the 80s further east as well. Now Friday temperature anomaly, again, not too far from average, even though 100 is going to be your high in Texas. A lot of that above average temperature departure zones, those are going to be further north as you go into your Friday, except for in the northeast where it will still remain cool. Notice we have a level 1 risk for severe weather coming off portions of the Front Range. Some of that severe weather could also go on down into South Texas, San Angelo getting in on that. We also have a Florida Panhandle and East Coast, Space Coast severe weather event possible. A level 1 risk in both communities. But look at this, Friday afternoon, 11 p.m. into the evening time frame. Look at these storms blossoming up. I wouldn't be shocked if we get a risk upgrade. Look at the Boeing segment possible for us here. Maybe a tornado or two, but it's looking right now like marginally severe to possibly slightly severe wind and hail, depending on how the Storm Prediction Center goes about this risk as we go into our Friday. Of course, I'll keep you updated in YouTube Shorts as well. Severe thunderstorms possible in the mid-south as we go to our Saturday. Notice some of that flooding with this new system. You could see the low-pressure areas starting to develop with that new system diving down. Some of the heaviest rain will be near the low-pressure systems further north. It will remain quite rainy in the northeast as well as we go into our Saturday for us here. Look at that. Look at the concentration of the storms in the plains Saturday afternoon. It's going to be quite high. And we might even see a risk upgrade. I wouldn't be shocked if a level 3 risk comes into portions of eastern and southeastern Oklahoma, as well as northeastern Texas for us here. But Dallas, Oklahoma City to Shreveport, those three areas for us here, those communities, the metro areas, you already have to watch out for at least a level 2 threat for some wind and hail, probably a few tornadoes in this zone as well. Some of the storms could go severe into Kansas as well. And then as we go into our Sunday, look at this. It's looking like that system's going to dive down even more. And we could see some storms coming out of Arkansas, also some pop-ups in the southeast. That's why I've got a low-end risk for some of those storms to go severe in the southeast as we go into our June 11th, but this is an official One Nation weather forecast for us here. So right from this channel, you can see a medium zone that I've got highlighted for you here from northeast Texas going over to Tennessee. We'll keep an eye on those storms diving south with a potentially damaging wind event coming out of those especially. And then look at the low pressure system, how it really curls on over into the Great Lakes region on Monday, looking like a classic cold front for us now. And that will bring a low chance for some severe weather up the east coast. And then as we go to our Tuesday, you could see a little bit of energy will swirl in from the northwest behind that system. We'll watch for some severe weather coming out of Oklahoma, the Red River Valley areas for us here, as well as over at Shreveport. We'll keep an eye on that. But for now, it doesn't look too significant. But again, it's too far out to tell, so we will keep an eye on that because that could end up turning into a level 2 or level 3 severe weather threat. If we're not careful, you could see many communities, those blue areas 1 to 2 inches, that's going to be the trend. Some spots 2 to 4 inches in those purple areas, and even in the blue areas, you could see some of those locally higher totals. Thank you so much for watching this One Nation weather forecast for America. Subscribe, hit the like button, and as usual, here are your credits. Have a great day, everyone.